Ready? Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Well, we'd like to start with, we call this, what do we call this thing? Number 2. Did anybody watch the 1968 program they had last night on 1968? It was about a 3-hour program. You know, it was, of course, that's the year they had to march in Memphis and Dr. King got killed. That's when they had the Poor People's March. The Poor People's downtown, the one where they camp, whatever they call it. The March on Washington was 63. This was the when they camped out downtown. Poor People's, whatever they call it down there, on the mall. That's right. It happened to be the rainiest season. It was slushy and it was flies everywhere. It was terrible for them. But we're going to deal with a few things that for several years we've been very clear on archivists that this, whatever's happened, we're going to archive this. Not we're going to. We have been archiving everything that's been happening all the time since Jump Street. It's been done in paperwork. It's been done on tapes, old tapes, CDs, DVDs. This is an old batch. I'll explain those in a while. Historicize, the chronicle, and documentalist. We've been dealing a lot with developing our own terminology for what's going on. And when we looked at that program last night, it's the same stuff they always show. How brutal they are overseas, the Vietnam War. And although they got 58,000 people dead, they killed over 1 million or 2 million Vietnamese. The carpet bombing, can you imagine? Them B-52s dropped more bombs in Vietnam or North Vietnam than they did in all of World War II. And all you could see in World War II was them bombers going over Germany. Just at least 2 runs per day, in Germany. And they dropped more bombs than that in a little bitty Vietnam, in that little small space. They talked about it, the Tet Offensive, which the U.S. had been talking about how far we are as far as the war is concerned, and we've been winning this war. Technically, the battles, they would win most of them. But the Tet Offensive was when they jumped out all over the country. And technically they lost. The Vietnamese did. They technically lost. Boy, but they jumped up all over the country, and the U.S. had been telling them, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's all right, don't worry about a thing. And they jumped up throughout the whole country. They attacked every capital in Vietnam. So it was a big disaster. 68 was a bad year for America. Man, it was a bad year. It was a good year for us, though. 68 was the time when we started. That was the time when we started the East Oakland Enterprises, Black Economic Enterprise Zone. We started it, and it was a booming success. That's just what it was. It was a booming success. Because outside of Oakland, well, LA, the people the people that were around coming in and out of Oakland, they knew about it. But because the media never pointed at it, they consider, well, if the white man didn't say nothing about it, it couldn't have been important. That's the way people believe, you know. And they have people believing that all the people you see are important. You see the man with the little scarf on his head, you know, not on his head, around his neck. That's him. And then all the other people, this stuff right now have brought out not the Chamber of Horrors, but this old movie, you've seen it, and the people in it so often. Here come the dope dealer, you know, from Tawana Brawley fame, whatever it was. Ahmadou Diallo, all of that. He's just a preaching and jumping up and down, and the old bald-headed lawyer from somewhere down there, I don't know what the cast of characters, hey man, the old man wear a scarf. When he was at UC Berkeley, they had a program, and Zaid was out there then, and he acknowledged Zaid, and he, ma'am, isn't that such and such and such? Now that's giving him big credibility. It's on C-SPAN, on all that stuff, you know. And we haven't been on nothing. That's fine. That's why this is Contentment 2. We want the people to understand just a few of the things that we've dealt with from day one, and we're content. It would take a few things for them to get an understanding of, well, let me start with this so everybody will know. This is Proactive Preemptive Operations Group. But technically, this one right here, Provoking Action, is a good one. On the other side, Fabricating the Enemy. Los Angeles Times has revealed the creation of an organization by the U.S. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld called the Proactive Preemptive Operation Group. Its purpose is to bring together CIA and military covert action, information, warfare intelligence, cover, and deception. The role is to manufacture the terrorism that is to be combated. This is from the LA Times. Its role is to manufacture the terrorism that is to be combated. Boy, when we see the demonstrations and we see the people in Florida jumping up on the police car and setting it on fire. This is recently, right? Last month. Okay, when they do that, that allows the police to come in and use all their new stuff, right? Therefore, their agents have provided the avenue, the wherewithal, the methodology, the process. They've gave them everything that they need, along with the justification, to do whatever they want to these lawless people, although the families of all the people that's been involved, what do they say? We want peace and we want peaceful marches. We want cooperation. We don't want our name to be used in none of that. And that worked for a good period of time. But at the same time, we have to see what's going on right now. I haven't paid much attention in the last day or so, but where is the trend right now? Where are they at as far as this? Just like we did last week, we'll go down and we'll get a reading on where we are. let's see, faced with the massive opposition to the war plans, Bush and his team may again be planning some terrorist act to provoke massive revulsion and whip a skeptical and reluctant world into supporting war against Iraq and other targets. Okay. The U.S. government is planning to use cover and deception and secret military operations to provoke murderous terrorist attacks on innocent people. Such operations are not new for the United States authority. Then they talk about Operation Norwoods and what have you. All of that stuff to set up the environment, the Gulf of Tonkin, Norwoods in Cuba, where they was going to kill all innocent people, give a justification. They kill the people, and they get a justification for attacking Cuba, right? This is common. Okay, this fabricating the enemy, that's what this part, the other side is. There is no evidence that the Pentagon or the CIA played a direct role in recent terrorist attacks. The latter were undertaken by organizations or cells of these organizations which operate quite independently with a certain degree of autonomy. This independence is in the very nature of a covert intelligence operation. The intelligence asset is not in direct contact with its covert sponsors. Let me go over that again. The intelligence asset is not in direct contact with its covert sponsors. You could ease the cool, yeah, it's a little chilly. It is not necessarily cognizant of the role it plays on behalf of its intelligent sponsor. You can take any of the guy they just killed over there in Iraq, Ali Baghdadi, is that his name? Not Ali Baghdadi, something like that. He's supposed to be the chief of the new caliph, you know, the guy always. Yeah, that's him. Okay. That don't mean that he could have been set up. See, the government, through Saudi money and all of that, have them guys do things. Now, he was with Saddam Hussein. He wasn't no big-time Muslim. He became a Muslim overnight. I mean, he woke up one morning with beard. His beard grew out overnight. I'm telling you, and he was caliph. All the other brothers, Osama bin Laden. All this stuff is so ridiculous it makes you sick. It do. We had to bury him according to Islamic custom. We dropped him in the water. Now, you know, if Uday and Qusay, Saddam Hussein's son, was laid out for everybody to see, if they got Osama bin Laden, right, they'd have drug him down the street. And then you see pictures of him from the back. And then white folks know how they do stuff, so some of them take a picture. They said, look what they did here. Look what they, right? And it definitely, whoever it is, it ain't no Osama bin Laden, not the one we were seeing. And if it was they man. Osama bin Laden, the bin Laden family, originally from Yemen, in the construction field, constructing for who? Cooperating with who? Bechtel, biggest construction engineers in Saudi Arabia from the United States. No. So if he was, his crew might have been recruited, which they was, to go to Afghanistan and fight the godless commies, the Russians, right? Okay, if he got a little tinge of a religion, he'd look up and say, hey, after the 91, the Gulf War, he said, what you guys doing all this stuff in our country, you know? Yeah, this is the Holy Land. It ain't no supposed to be, y'all ain't supposed to be here. So, that's partially true. So they done hooked him up. If he go bad, it's their fault. Right? Yeah, it's not, oh, we got to kill all of y'all because we started something with him and now he done gone bad. So we got to kill all of y'all because he went bad and we the one that initiated his badness. Insanity. Insanity. You know. So this fabricating the enemy, it goes through the whole thing. So everything that they're doing right now in D.C. and around the country is a gross fabrication. Okay, we in here would know, yes, they engineered these demonstrations and they engineered, why? We can watch all the other demonstrations. The one that this lady's supposed to have been asleep one night and woke up and wanted to do something. So she got on the internet and brought all them people here to watch. Bull crap, right? Remember those bus loads? We just standing there. And you got to remember some of how, if you knew what was happening, it's so ridiculous. I don't know if you remember the white boys we was talking to. One had a red star communist. Look, this is out of the dumbest movie. No red, pinko, or commie would even, and I'm asking him, hey, because I was in prison with the third in line for the communist, we was in prison together, you know. We used to have them come to speak, because in those days, whether you was black Muslim or this, that, all the radical groups spoke at each other's programs, you know, or because he was against boss man, and that's the main thing that. So the guy's actually one of the main guys in the Communist Party is a friend of mine. I mean, a good friend. We in Leavenworth together. Okay. So he's supposed to be a communist. I'm asking him about everybody. I don't know if you remember. I'm asking him, hey, you know so-and-so, they don't know nobody. I said, oh. So it was a joke. The only place you can find them communist hats with a red star is Russians during World War II, and maybe a few in Korea, and a few of the little hats Chairman Mao and them used to wear. But you just, in these times, where are you going to find that? This stuff is so ridiculous, but you got to remember, suppose people don't know. So, which they don't. They accept the biggest demonstration in the world. The girls came out, flow showing, step dancing, turning flips, right? And everybody was there. I ain't going to talk about who was there, because some of them, they don't have that good reputation, you know. Supposed to have been communists, teaching at UC Berkeley. And then they let her have sex with George Jackson when they was both in jail. This is ridiculous. The Pope, huh?
They bring them out all the time in
Same face. Have you seen this movie before? I haven't seen this one, but I done seen all the script. I don't know if when we was a kid, they used to have them Westerns and every Saturday, and at the end, it was always a big mean rancher, and he was a cattleman, whatever it was a big chase scene at the end. And they was riding, shooting, and carrying on. It didn't make no difference that was part of the scene, and it was always like that. So, if somebody asks you, have you seen this before? I've seen all those characters before. I just haven't read the script. But that script is 97% like all the other scripts. It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. You know, just imagine that they roll in and see. I do feel that the people are beginning to pick up on this. I do feel like some of them, but the detail, the people are way behind the curve. So we have to pick up our stuff just a little bit. Because even this proactive, preemptive, fabricating the enemy stuff, this from Global Research is also from LA Times. This is January 28, 2003. That's way back when they're talking about weapons of mass destruction, they're getting ready to do this, because they didn't invade till March 20th over there. But a lot of people is getting the feel because the government have treated the people so bad. The first Gulf War in the 90s, they came back home and they told them, they said, well, I think we've got some of this depleted uranium on us and stuff. And so they said, no, you'll be all right. Just take a couple of aspirins. That's exactly what they told them. They told them, I shoot you. But now them IUDs, they blew off people's legs and ears and everything, you know what I mean? And the people, the government treating them so bad, it's trying to pretend to treat them a little better now. But they already, I lost my legs, I lost my mobility. And then people are talking about this now more. You know what I mean? What do you mean a wounded warrior? Why we got to have a TV program to help wounded warriors? Why the government's not, you know what I mean? Wounded warriors. Adopt a wounded warrior, right? The guy got his legs blown off. And you know that modern medicine, it can keep you alive. If you just got one hint of life in you, it can puff you up, squeeze you up, blow something in you, zap you up, and you will live. You know? No legs, no ears, no nothing, but you'll still be alive. And then how they treat those people. You know, that's what not only the physical loss, but the mental. You know, you go over there and they told you weapons of mass destruction. Okay, then the next day in the news, the news was cooperating with them. There was no such thing as weapons of mass destruction. Okay. Everybody knows that now. But in the meantime, we done got mad. I done killed, I don't know how many women and children I have personally killed over there. And they was walking down the street and I killed them. I killed them. It was no video game. At home I was playing video games. Shoot this guy. Those were real people. They screamed, they bled, and it wasn't no game. And that works on people. That works on people because there's, no matter, only a few people go into war and get addicted to it. They gotta have it. They like it. You know, there's a percentage of people like that. They love it. They love the smell of that powder, gunpowder. They like all that. You know what I mean? They like it. There's a group of people like that. There's a group of people that will torture anybody the government tell them, and they'll get off on the torture because they just stretched out. They're weirdos, as people would call them. And they like it. So this proactive, preemptive operation and provoking action, fabricating the enemy, is something that the government has been doing all along. It's always been doing that. Now, I want to go to something that, where is it at? Okay. Is this stuff new? Is what we've been doing a new thing? I want to read prerequisite to unity. Masjid al-Islam clears the air. And then I've got everybody on Masjid al-Islam and former American Muslim Mission, that's the chief. Masjid al-Islam and Jamaat al-Tabligh. Masjid al-Islam and ISNA. Masjid al-Islam and Shia Connection. Masjid al-Islam, ideological impact on Oakland, the Bay Area, and the nation. The impact is what positions were taken, what strategies were developed, what was others' response, what we believe the Muslims should do to solve their small differences and maximize their full God-given potential. It has more here, but this is a program we're having Sunday, December the 4th, 1986 in Oakland. Okay. Let's see what we got here. This is dealing with trying to isolate you, trying to cut you off, stuff we deal with right now. So 12/9/86, Sheldon, that's my oldest son, arrested. 12/10, the next day, Terrell, Abdul Ali, he's arrested. You see what I mean? So when we have that program on the weekend, the only witnesses I have to everything that's going on, because see, my sons was living with me at the masjid. We got on the road, we traveled together, and whenever we would go on the road, they would get juiced up on those motivational tapes and historical tapes, and that's what we listened to on the road. And they would come back to Oakland juiced up for about a week, if they would last that long. Then Oakland would take over. And they would go other places. I remember when one of the first trips was up to Portland, Oregon, and going up to Portland. No, we went up to Seattle, but we stopped along the way. We was in Eugene, and we was in Corvallis, those places. Corvallis had just opened up a nice masjid in Corvallis, Oregon. So we would, of course, go to the store and everything, and they would walk around, and I would go running every day. You could see on all of the days I'd go running every day at that time. And it would be like ran 6 miles, ran 8 miles, ran, you know what I mean, good run, all that. So I ran every day. Okay, they would go out too, and they would see people leave, their windows rolled down, and if it wasn't going to rain, the sunroof would be back, and they would go in the store, you know. Imagine young Negroes. My youngest son at that time was about 12. He's 51 or 2 now. So anyway, he said, Dad, these people, when I was in the store, the lady walked on in the back and was doing something and came out later. But you know, a little old Negro in a store in any big city, they're going to be there, call there, keep your eye on it. That is a Negro. You don't know, yeah, it's Negro. You a Chinaman, you a Korean, you whatever you are, but that's a Negro. They steal. Automatically. The young ones steal all the time, and the old ones steal whenever they can. Okay, so they got you. It was all eye-opening to them. And then people to help us, we was traveling to raise funds for the masjid when we just opened it. It was good. And then you're driving in Oregon, and you look over a beautiful stream, you know what I mean? And you pull off. It was myself, my youngest son, and 2 young Iranian brothers. They would go deal with the Iranians. We would deal with the so-called Sunnis. And we would all be swimming. You know, you jump off and go swimming. And then, man, I was looking at my son. He was splashing, hey, Dad, da, 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 acting like a real kid. In the city, they don't even they all trying to rolling their eyes at everything. They just, that's the way Oakland was. And out there, they just splashing, having a good time. I said, man, the city is serious, the city. I'm looking at it sociologically and everything. But anyway, so, where we at? So they were arrested. One on the 9th, one on the 10th. So when I'm standing there presenting this program, I'm presenting it all by myself. And when we would have these programs, there would be tons of people come. 80% of them was the police. I'm pretty certain of that. 80% of these people was the police. And that's okay. Because remember, why are we clearing the air? Because it's the same thing we got here. Those same old stupid rumors. Right? And none of them are true that I know of. None of the rumors, if y'all know some of us too, just let me know you're on camera that Imam Musa is mistaken. He did all this. Just if there's any truth to it, all of it, everything they say, it's just a lie. But it works. Over the years, they not only clear the air, but you clear the whole joint. It's clear. Ain't nobody here, right? So it works. So this is about the third time this happened. So this is 86, we're clearing the air. In the meantime, 12/6/86, and I'll pass this around, Ran Chabot, that's the lake, lifted iron, notebooks missing, 4 date books, accordion folder missing, big victory. If there's 4 notebooks, that means all of my notebooks is missing up to that time because I'm living in the masjid. You know what I mean? So the books for 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85 are missing. And all the books are like this. It's one book that has whatever you spend that day, whatever you do, and then you have the writings, books that we put this stuff in, that's full of writings, everyday writings. So, big victory. I call it a big victory. This would be psychologically devastating to most people. These are my personal notes. And at that time, you didn't want boss man knowing, the less he know about your business, the better you felt. We're not doing that this time. Because of this whole history, we telling everything all the time about everything. No secrets. No skeletons. Why? We ain't got no skeletons in our closet. Can you imagine a Negro with no skeletons in his closet that ain't scared to mention anything you want to talk about? The airplanes you want to talk about under people's clothes, it don't make no difference. Let's get it on. Why? Because if there's any skeletons around, they and you, not us. Now, we know Allah sees everything. But to tell you the truth, when you know boss man is watching everything you do, technically it improves your behavior. You gotta be right, because Allah ain't gonna just mess with you. You know what I mean? He know you're a human being, but boss man is watching you to find something wrong, right? To blow your whole thing. Oh yeah, we went to Masjid Wardeen and then Newark and all that. Okay, but this one right here, the things with the circle around, that's what happened. I just passed that around for you to see what was going on. Then there's other things too. Like for instance, on the 31st of January, 87, We went down to Railroad Avenue. Railroad Avenue is like just what it sounds like. Railroad Avenue, where the trains are, and people dump trash down there. This one right here says trash, gun pull, roof, right there. So we throwing the trash away. White boy with long hair, he looked like a Hell's Angel, except he had khakis on. He pulled a gun. Put that back. He has nothing to do with Railroad Avenue. He don't live there. In fact, this is a black neighborhood. He don't have nothing to do with it. But he got out, pulled the gun, looked like a 44 Magnum. You know, a 6-shooter. Put that back. I said, you kiss my behind. Who the hell are you talking to? You know? And the brother that was with me, toll-free, so-called Kareem, he was going to run and I said, leave that stuff alone. And I said, who you pulling that gun on? And so actually the guy holding the gun jumped in his El Camino, whatever it was, and drove on off. You know, from then on, the government knew that when I talked about martyrdom, this nigga is on that martyrdom thing. He's not afraid of, you know what I'm saying? So from then on, you could hear Abdul Malik them mention martyrdom, and they knew that whatever everybody else was talking about, when I was talking about it, I meant it. I meant it. And then here's another one. January 17th, 88. Ran Lake Chabot with fun runners. Ran 7 miles, whatever fun runners were. Hyatt Regency, W.D. Muhammad. I went to see the chief that day. Then right here it says, wheel came off. Wheel came off. A few days later, I was in New York doing a program. Javad Zarif was, remember he was stationed up there in New York. And at that time he wasn't a UN ambassador, but he was getting close to it. He was second in the office at that time. That means all the programs that was going on that we did, he was managing the programs. He was the on-hands guy. So when we would go places, I would stay with him, or he would take me to the hotel. All of that stuff he would do. We had a lot of programs then. You see at the bottom it says wheel came off? Yeah, it's in the circle. See at the bottom? Yeah. Okay. Here's what happened. When we was in New York that time, when we was right there on Woodside, where there's a masjid, 50-something, called Masjid Ali Center, or something like that, in New York. Was parked right outside. He said, man, when I was driving on the freeway the other day, my back wheel came off. And suppose my kids would have been in the car, and he was actually scared. Okay, I was driving to see the chief. And all of a sudden, when I stop at the thing, I see a wheel go by. It was actually my wheel. And they can do it on the back wheel. See, because the back wheel, if it's the front wheel, although I had front wheels, on the front wheel, I had a truck and it has that little hub on there. And I kept driving and it goes. I tell you what, it was one of them, it was PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. It was one of those Pepco trucks we bought from the auction, you know. And it was a Chevy, the same thing they have here. So I'm driving, and then when I get to a corner, I would hear a noise. So some Turkish brothers, they had an auto place. And I'll get back to the subject in a minute. So anyway, The brother looked at it, he looked at it, he hit pipes. He said, man, I don't. He drove, it just didn't, he couldn't find nothing. So then, we was there after he shook all the pipes and everything. The right front wheel, he just hit it. He said, I can't find anything. And he hit it, and it was. So what would happen was, the thing has 5 lugs, right? 3 of them were inside the hubcap. You know what I mean? And 2 of them was holding the wheel. So when you come to a stop sign and slow down, the centrifugal force when you're driving would keep them up against, you know what I mean, the top or the bottom, wherever they at, the centrifugal force. But when you slow down and stop, they would fall down and make a noise. So he just hit it. Now psychologically, that's supposed to cause my back wheel and came off. And now I got to check my truck every time or whatever I'm driving because you get, no, you know what I mean? So psychologically, this is supposed to cause you psychological trouble. You saw what I said when they stole all of my notebooks and all of that? I said, big victory. So this optimism and this ideas that I have, to me, I feel like I'm acquiring. I've been like that all along from day one. That's not the first time. I've been like that all the time. Big victory. That's supposed to make you mad, and then now the white man can look at all the stuff I've been doing, right? And it didn't make a difference. You know why? The people, when we opened the masjid, they would have a whole group of people moved up by the masjid. And they would walk by every day. They would always find somebody to sit in the masjid with me all day, either reading or something like that, all day, all the time. That's what they did. So this stuff that they're doing now is not new. It's been going on all along. So, this one is fine. I just happened to. This one has a circle at the top. It has H. Babbling Jones. Now, babbling is talking, speaking, or rapping, and Jones could be Smith or Brown or anybody. So H. Babbling Jones. This is a code. Anybody can figure it out, but it sounds colored. And I would write about, so when I would write about those people, I would use a code. Now at that time, we're good friends, but he was acting funny at that time, you know. And he acted funny all the way up till, you know, he got arrested. Because can you imagine I come to her, I said, look, you're the big chief, you got a name. We still got a few more years of this trend of, you know, black nationalist trend in the early 80s, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. And remember, we got our groups that are Islamic Party, okay, they're blackish, and they got, you can hear the blackness in their talk. The Dar al-Islam is the same way. They're in the process of being destroyed. We on the other side, and we're inviting people like Last Poets and all of that. And okay, and up next to us, the people who are up next to us are the police. I don't know if I ever showed you a long time ago, I used to give lectures and I would show a spark plug with I can't find it anymore. And then the bottle with the little oily look around it that would fit over a drain. Well, That spark plug I pulled out in my car, I was like, why this thing shake? Is an old Chevy. And I was getting ready to go on a thing. So the mechanic had put the thing in there, and the other brother that was his friend, they both polices. He said, well, let's look at the plugs. But the guy didn't tell him that he did that to the plug. So he took the door, that looked good. Then he took that one out, and it was straight almost. Just a little. Now, you know it's supposed to have a little gap. But it ain't supposed to be straight, that little thing, because it's going to misfire. It makes the, car run rough. Anyway, so I said, what is that? He said, I don't know. I knew he was mechanically orientated. In fact, he's the same guy we was going to, after we remodeled the masjid, I'll get back to the subject. After we remodeled the masjid, and my sons was helping a lot, said, hey, we'll just buy a van and we'll do a lot of remodeling work, And this guy said, no, don't do that. So what you got in mind? He said, we'll get a truck, go to the auction, it only costs $1,200 or something. Actually, spent a little more than that. Then the welding machine costs $2,000. You know those welding machines, you put it on the back of the truck, and then, you can have mobile welding. The people need this welding. You go out there, and you get usually plenty of work. This guy brought welding books and everything, and you know how young kids are, they get stuff like that real quick. So you're supposed to draw beads. And within 2 days, they was hooking them up. Just like that. He stopped coming. There ain't nothing. So if people call in here from overseas and everywhere, and family members, we gotta have you on the news. We gotta have you on the news. Well, I've been knowing them since, all my life, but when I'm at headquarters 20-something years ago, and these young guys doing media, and he get little contracts, I already know that the government is giving him contracts and boosting him up, so, because he's my great nephew, and pretty soon they'll send him by. And all them contracts, they Keisha Cole and all these other big stuff like that, that's what they do. You could tell, okay. So I got a call the other day, a week later or so, and the kids is in the car. He said, well, Uncle, such thing happened, and I got a lot of hits right now from something I said about white folks, and they put me right in the mix. I done went viral. I said, if you went viral, or the white folks is the one that send you viral, whatever it is. I said, that's good. Catch me later. Of course, I expected it. And the kids is in there, and they looking silly, because they play along with that dumb stuff too. But now, let me clear up something. My sons, I don't blame them for none of this. Because now, they do, you couldn't imagine the fitna that they do, right? But you gotta imagine, if say 85, me and my younger son go visit my older son in prison. And we go in the visiting room, and they take us out. They say, oh, your son, he's been sent to the hole, and I've been in prison before. So as soon as I come out of the visiting room, I go to the change sheet. They have a change sheet that if you're gonna change your room or you're gonna change your job, every day they have a change sheet. And I looked, Sheldon Reams, he ain't no change. Then I looked at the guys working in the visiting room, and they just did like this. No, man, the homeboy's right there on. So imagine they do all that stuff all the time, right? So I called up there to the penitentiary the next day, and I said I wanted to talk to Sheldon Reams, his foreman. I talked to his foreman. I said, how's Sheldon doing? Oh, he's doing fine. I said, he's not in the hole or nothing? Heck no, he ain't in the hole. Blah, blah, blah. Right? In other words, he said. So, I mean, I ain't filed no paperwork on him because why? It's normal. But here's the thing. When they were little kids, the police would tell them, that's when I was in exile. And so here's the police stopping kids. They up in a middle class, they're in a nice neighborhood. And they're up there riding their bikes with all their friends. And they ask, what's your name? They take little kids on bicycles. What are they doing? Right? What is there something wrong? But the kids don't know how to act. What did I do something wrong or something? What you doing? But they're violating their little rights as kids. They're not doing anything. Then they get to, what's your name? My name's Sheldon Reams. Your father's Clarence Reams? Yeah. We're going to get him. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Now imagine the psychic that stuff works because maybe let's say 10, 12 years ago, the police come in behind. I'm coming down the street, so I pull in our yard. And let's see your license and all of that. So I give him my ID, which is what I have. You such and such and such. I said, what the hell you doing? And this is our property. What you doing in this neighborhood? My son is with me. Dad, slow down. Take it easy. He's petrified. And then I'm going in the trunk. Now I wait. You try to go in the trunk on the police. See what they do to you. As soon as you reach out, they'll blow all this part of your hand. They probably just shoot you in the head and save the bullets trying to shoot your hand. So I wait till they get their information. Now I know from then to now, they have to get on the phone and they have to call here, probably around here somewhere, And that person is supervising me. And that person, this is the 50th call because I get stopped all the time. So they got a call. I don't have driver's license. And I ain't trying to get none either. I just don't have them. And I get stopped in Colorado. Suppose you get stopped, you don't have driver's license, insurance, and the car ain't, and nobody, they don't know who the hell the car belongs to. Are you gonna just drive off? I do it every time, all the time. Well, have a nice day, Hey, I was a sister by here on the highway here in Pennsylvania. And this is before, I kind of had a feeling about it, but I didn't know it. This is when we first got married. So that's way back, almost 30 years ago. That's 20-something years ago. So the Pennsylvania police stopped me. Then he said, let's see your license. So I ain't got no license. Oh boy, he was happy. He run back to the car. And then he come back again, and he getting ready to go back. I said, take me to your little country jail. I was very serious about it. Take me to your little old country jail. Goes back, checks again. So you're going to have to let her drive. He ain't wrote no ticket, he ain't wrote nothing. And then I told Sister Bahia, she's sitting right there, so watch this. I didn't notice then, but I just had a feeling. They messed with me, so they got everything on me. And that's when I found out for sure. Before they do anything, they got a call. So in Oakland, imagine now they didn't call some other police. I'm talking to them. What y'all doing in Oakland? You don't live here in Oakland. This is my town. Dad. Then I go in the trunk. Now the other police, the senior officer, he calling back here, and they telling him, you can see him pacing, just so-and-so is, and they saying, stand down, and the man is having a fit. And I'm going in the trunk of the car. Yeah, and I ain't talking sweetie pie talk. Nobody could do that. Mukhtar is watching. There's Ahmed Shama, one of the Arab brothers from LA. He's watching. And my son is having a panic. Just like my youngest son, the day before they hit the masjid in Oakland, they got one of them fuzzy bearded, the new, I don't know, Taliban, whatever they are now. But he's police. So he's in the masjid, I'm going to pray. So you ain't praying in here, you got to get out. So he's the one that I'm moving toward him all the time. I'm watching the way he slide back. This boy, of course, he's been trained. He's sliding back, sliding to the side. You know, it's a little bit difficult for me to box him in. Finally, I get him boxed in, and he just leaned forward. He's the one that leaned forward and reached. I started calling him all kind of girl names. I said, yes, indeed. I knew it all the time. You know, because see, when you get a guy in a box, his training going to come out. If you got a guy that boxes real good and he did a little martial arts, he might do the little martial arts at first, but if you get heat on him, he going back to boxing. Because he automatically does it. I know how to do this better than that. I just got 1 year training in martial arts, right? And I got my whole life. I'm a boxer. So he started throwing hooks, jabs, and uppercuts, you know what I mean, and all that. And with precision, because he knows. So when you box a police in, he steps forward and leans back. Hey, man, for his gun? I said, yes, indeed. So the point I'm making is, what's going on now is nothing new. This stuff has been going on. Okay. The other thing I'd like to talk about is Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui. We had a program with him. And I don't know if this where it's at. But Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui had a system. This is in, maybe it's here somewhere. But it was in 96, 86. And so, well, anyway, it happened, so I'll just mention it. So what happened was, I asked Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, I was a moderator of the program. It was at the Arab Youth Program. It was in Dallas. Yes, that's exactly right. It was in Dallas. And then I went to the other program in Oklahoma. So the question came up. It was a lot of discussion about methodology. So it was a long question they asked Dr. Siddiqui. Well, Dr. Siddiqui, if you're so supportive of the Islamic Revolution, and these brothers were Shias, so why don't you just become Shia? He said, I don't know. I said, we don't have, the Sunnis don't have certain beliefs. I said I could follow a Shia imam that has, because all of them are taught Sunni fiqh too, all of them. Most, when you get big, you have to go through all the different fiqh. So anyway, he said, I could follow any of the ulama, they could lead me with my Sunni beliefs, and they're Shia. I mean, we could do, we're flexible. They can't do that, but we could. So he talked about method for a minute. He says, the method I'm using right now is the random sowing method. So I asked him a question. I said, and I thought he had said the mutual sowing. He said, no, the random sowing method. He said, right now, I'm putting this word out, just like seeds. And if they grow anywhere, that's good. So I said, okay, Doc, I got it. So here is it's called Success Package for Young Bloods, Negroes. And it has, I don't know, even probably you remember I had that duplicating machine for up there. Okay. So this is a set of tapes. They got me surrounded. Then, you can see from them days, from the mid-'80s, early 80s, from day one, why I didn't get an opportunity to just get into this Islam and open a masjid and all that, that's for somebody else to answer. But I was surrounded from day one. Boop, right away. All kind of little traps and foolishnesses and things. I mean, from day one. One of the brothers went up to Oregon and spoke up there in Eugene. And that's one of the reasons after he went up there and spoke, then we came up behind him because he gave a good report on it. So we went up there a little later. Actually, we raised a lot of money, excuse me, on that trip. But in this case, the government had already surrounded our community. We never had a chance to just develop or what have you, and then we'll keep an eye on you. They had an eye on me from day one. It was a carryover from before. Yesterday when I walked over in the park, right there by where the swimming pool was, when I got out of the car, first I sat there a long time, just cruising. Just taking it easy. And so I remember in the winter when it would be kind of like it's cool outside, but if your car is not moving and the windows are rolled up, that it's a special kind of heat that kind of just puts you to sleep almost. So I was sitting there yesterday. Then when I got out of the car to go in the trail, I said, well, let me do a couple of push-ups. So I got down kind of slow, and then, you stretch out like a push-up. Zoop! Are you all right? Da-da-da-da. Because I got down slow. The police, this is not a picture, but this is the police that's on. Like right now, if I go over here and I fall out, I don't have to have no problem. The police is there right away. He thought, you okay? You all right? If I run up that hill, and then, it's a hot day, and I put my hands on my leg, getting a little older. You okay? White man and white woman, right away. right at the top of the hill. They detectives, they police. They police. I'm driving down the freeway and the police, PD, county police. You remember when I got arrested a long time ago for the police had attacked, he attacked, what's those light-skinned people around here? Danny something, the one that his name was Danny, I remember this. But it's a light-skinned, they won't marry dark-skinned people. So we driving right down there, it's 295, right over there. So I'll think his name. I just had it. So anyway, Proctor, Danny Proctor, that was his name. Because when we was in jail, they asked Danny Proctor, what you in jail for? Then they asked me, you a imam, aren't you? I said, yeah. So, well, why are you in jail? I said, well, the police was attacking him. So they just looked all the way, what the heck is that? So anyway, we driving, we just had our picnic out there somewhere. Huh? Yeah. So I had always said, this is Bahia, she's in the back seat with Sakina, because Sakina is 18 months old, maximum, maybe 2. So I done always said, I always see the police with the young guys. I said, if the police mess with me, I'm not going to sit down. And I had a chance to prove it over there by the river over there. Anyway, so when the police, the PG counted and chased the Negro into D.C., right over there on the side road. Nanny Helen Borough is down here, and then it's between that and Benning Road on the other side. So I stopped. The police got the brother, he's stretched out. They got he's up in the front seat. They got his hands out the window and his body outside the front seat, driver's seat. And the other police, there's 3 of them, got his legs holding him straight on the other side, and they wearing him out. They just beating him. They just beating him, the poor guy. They beating him. So I see that. And then, you know where you're pulling over? I mean, you automatically going to do something. I said, so you can have a split-second thought. Man, this guy could at least had the D.C. police do it. This is the PG police, and they white, you know what I mean? And they had just killed 4 Negroes. I don't know if they just killed 4 Negroes. So I'm getting out of the car, and I'm here, and I'm just saying to myself, at least homeboy could have got into it with the D.C. police. So anyway, now I walked right up to him. And the 2 I grabbed them, I was a lot younger then, I grabbed them boys, they batons. They was beating the guy. And first they was just shocked. Maybe a second or 2. They didn't know, they was shocked. I'm not trying to get nobody's guns or nothing. I just got my hands on both of their batons. So it seemed like an hour or 2, but it was just probably a second, 2, 3 seconds. So finally, when the police released himself, he got his gun and put it right at my head, and then I could hear an old lady, because now all the highway is stopped. That whole highway over there, they stopped. They're looking at this. This is unbelievable. They gonna shoot that man, sound like an old lady. They gonna shoot that man. So the police got his hands on his pistol and everything. Get down. I ain't getting down, nothing. You know what I mean? If you wanna arrest me, just arrest me. I ain't gonna do nothing. But I backed up and I stepped off the curb, you know. So, you know, you thinking quick all the time. So I said, this is my chance. So I stepped off the curb and rolled over and put my hands in the back of me so he could, you know, handcuff me. Simple as that. While I was doing that, it was a Seat Pleasant police. He had a jerry curl, you know, that stuff we used to wear in California. But he had a big thing with his police badge with a chain on it around his neck, sitting right there on the car to make sure that this goes all right. I don't know if you noticed, I had a fight over it. I went out to Halalco, and then that guy used to work in there, used to talk bad to black women. I cut loose on him. I was younger then, so, you know, I cut loose on him. They run out, they called the police. By the time the real police got here come a detective. Detective is standing right next to me. I'm just here to make sure everything go right. So they've been with me from day one. That's why I don't do nothing to try to hide nothing. I know, look, I'm an expert on look at right here. This is Mukhtar, the police caller, right? This is Mukhtar right here. Right there, that's Mukhtar, the police caller, right? This is the dear brother. I'm barefooted, ain't got no clothes on, because I was in the masjid taking an enema, a coffee enema. And they come barreling into the masjid. I said, man, y'all is crazy. Right the time I got the coffee and stuff in me, I said, man, you must be crazy. So I went in to close the door in the bathroom, and I closed it. I said, ain't no in the world I'm going to stand up with all this stuff in me, and I know what happens. It's going to come rolling out all over me. I ain't doing it. So that's why I ain't got no clothes on. I was naked, and then I went in there and sit on that toilet and let it all come out. Right? Yeah. So I'm an expert on getting arrested and the police and all of that. Now, you haven't saw, look at these, of course, these Latinos are poor guys. No, they don't have no black police arresting me. You ain't seen no black police arrest me. Okay, so now, no, and they ain't got no reason. They ain't got no right. They ain't got nothing. All they do is say, he said such and such. Okay, this is the one when my grandson is supposedly killed. And it has a time when it's supposed to, Anyway, and then y'all remember I showed y'all all the times, and then this has a date on it, and then they police identify a fatal shooting victim found in East Oakland. The other one has the specific time on it. This one just have his name. Okay, and what time did it say? Mukhtar and Khadijah called here at just say 2:10 a.m. Because I had just left Oakland and I got here at 9 or 10. Well, I got here at the masjid, it said around 10:15, something like that. And then I went to bed. And they called. So they called at 2 o'clock. That's 11 o'clock. That's 11 o'clock out there. Where your son is, tell Imam Musa, the son. And then the call comes to her phone. So it's on the record. It's, it has a phone. Date, time, you got the call. And she calls downstairs to me. That's right there on the phone. And I called back up to her. Okay, then I do whatever I have to do some method of contact out there that's not on anything. And my message come back, that ain't true, right? But then at 6 in the morning, the newspaper said his body was found at 6:20 a.m. And they called here at 2 p.m. here, let's say 2:10, 2:15, which was 11 o'clock out there. The day before, it's 11 o'clock. Anyway, we didn't went over it 50 times here. Ain't nobody never went and asked them nothing about nothing. So whatever they do, they got a right to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah, whatever they do, they have a legal right. They don't have a legal right, but they have a governmental right to do it. So what we're getting to is why our attitude is what it is, and how can you even think about contentment, right? With this stuff that goes on, you can see the dates. The dates are not far apart. So that means this stuff goes on every few days, Or it's all in a certain series of things. Like, for instance, when Tufel was married, his family was living with him right there, right? When I put that extension on the house out there, which is probably falling down now, probably rained it is, but then it was nice. 2 days later, Karima got up and moved. Took the family. Gone. Right after that, we built that annex right back there. The annex, this black carpet, studio-looking thing. You could tell when it was built, it was pretty nice. That was 10, 12 years ago. That's where we was going to have Masjid al-Islam news. But what's the brother, the little Bangladeshi brother? Yeah, that was here. Anyway, we didn't do it. Muhafiz was right here. He's right here all the time. He just didn't do it, right? No big deal. Let's go next door. Forget about the gym that we put together. Well, the door's hanging off, but it'll be all right. But it's a good colored gym, Remember, we used to have all our weights and stuff outside. I started getting a little older. I said, then in the winter, you touch that iron, it would be really cold. I mean, not just cold. If you grab that cold bar, it's like grabbing, hey man, I said, good God Almighty. So I said, well, I am getting a little old. We might as well at least get out of the rain. Because see, that's the old time way we do. We just work out outside. So we didn't have to, but we went on inside. S&F, Sakina and Fatima's, right next door. Remember all the food that used to be there? And I set it up where I would cook the same food that we have here, and every Saturday and Sunday they could have food. They'd come in and they would do it. And then we had when Sakina went to school, then Fatima, you can see all those CDs and all that stuff downstairs. I would make the table, and she could come and whatever people bought, she could keep it. She didn't have to pay for that. That's pretty good. Where you don't have to set up the table, you don't have to, all you do is stand there and collect some money and then go home. That's pretty nice. Well, where did they go? We didn't build the whole building for them, right? We didn't put Fatima used to come down and stand down there. And the longer it got, the harder it was to get her. She'd come late and everything. It's because somebody was telling her, leave your daddy down there alone. Make sure he gets the idea that he's by himself. That's not new. That's what all this was. That's why they would arrest my sons. 15 years, 20, 30, this is 86. That's a long time ago. Man, that's 34 years ago. That's 34 years ago. But they would arrest both of my sons. Not only they would arrest them, but if we standing there in front of the masjid, the police would drive by and, yeah. And one time they was arresting my son at his hangout on 96, so I got it. They said it was a shotgun in the masjid. So I run out. You know, when you getting this thing, I had to kind of let it go because it's not only them, but it's the mission. It's hard enough for young brothers to survive. That remember, they in Oakland. They right on the street. The masjid is a block and a half from where we used to live up on the hill. Well, you know, just nice up there. And look, so now the police done targeted them. Then, because my son is talking, the oldest one, he's talking out of the side of his mouth. Yeah, Dad, I'm too smart to get caught. I say, you mess around, you get, no, I'm too smart for that. So I said, oh my goodness, he got a dumb little girl telling this nigga he's smart. He's too smart. He's slick. Boy, you're handsome. And he's a young fool, so how can he not go for it? Because part of it is true. He got his perm. I think him and Sharpton was the last ones to get rid of their perm. I mean, that for them, he liked it, way back then. And it's so pitiful because like they turn the chair around and sit in the chair, sleep with the chair, So their hair won't get, I said, man, dear son, if you had that much discipline on literally anything, basketball, skiing, you'd be top. And if you just had that same discipline that you're going to sleep backwards, sitting in a chair to keep from messing up your hair. I said, man, if you had that much on anything, right? And just think about it. That's the way it was. But anyway, they wanted to keep me, so they moved on my sons. They moved on them. And I don't blame them for all the foolishness they do now. I don't blame them because who could hold on? No adult. Now a kid, he go to jail, he get out. My oldest son, that poor guy, he go to jail, he get out. Every time he get his little car with his rims on it and everything, right? And they zipping down the street. I said, well, it ain't gonna be long. And it's true. Police get him. And then after a while, he gets the idea because they scared of the police. They're not just paralyzed, but they like everybody in the neighborhood. They, because, I was doing what I was doing to the police. Dad. Same thing with my younger son. At the police in the masjid, when he's going to one reach like that, Dad, they panic. I can hear the panic in their voice. I don't like that. I don't like that somebody in my family should be scared of the police. But they've been conditioned like that. And they don't take either when it comes to you like that, either you got to fight it and get tough and smart and all that, or you be like everybody else. Okay, so they both dope fiends. It's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. Why? Because remember I said I used to take them on trips, boy, and they'd be all nice and smart for about a week in the environment. Same thing with my daughters. They told me, what was that, yesterday? Something, all that dumb stuff going on at my house. I got a bill for $801 for the water. I'm going to pay it this one time, and after that, I'm cutting the water off or let it get cut off because it's too much, you know. I called the lady the other day. She said, no, the toilet is running. I said, no, I've been here. I said, the water bill used to be $170 on average. I said, then when I got back, it was up to $320. I said, no problem. So all the time I would go, I could hear the water running downstairs. So all last month, for the last 2 months, they would leave the water running. They would make sure, you know, that the thing in the toilet just runs. So I'm downstairs so I could hear the water running. So I did it like a fireman. I said, this is my, you know, instead of getting lazy or anything. So whenever I hear the water running, I see if it cut off, I go right up and I go knock on the door of the bathroom and I go in there and boop, make sure that it fills up and that's it. Okay, I've been doing that all the time. So then last month the water bill was still up around $320 or something. This time I paid the $320 and now it's that plus something, plus 400 and something. I said, I talked to the lady yesterday. I said, no, that water ain't. I said, I've been here guarding it to make sure. So unless when I leave, somebody just turns on the water and let it run, that's the only way it could be like that, because I've been paying special attention to that water. Okay, now, and the water is off in California. I got them two, 3 big buckets of, 5 gallon. I go to a neighbor, give her about $20 a month. I could give her 5 or 10, and I fill up them buckets every day, as often as I want, and I come and I do everything I want. There's plenty of water. They're gonna have to do that. I'm from the country, so you go to the pump and you get your water. They're like, okay, they're gonna have to do that. They just, and I told them, I said, yeah, if this thing come in like that again, I said, I'll start with cutting it off at night. You have to come get you some water, sit it there in the bathtub and do whatever else you do. It's fine. I said, if it go any farther than that, I'm gonna just let it cut it off. If y'all want it on, you pay for it. If you want to stop the thing from running, you pay for it. I said, these big cracks in the floor, I said, you know what an autopsy is? Yeah, I said, right. If this wood is broken like that, popped down from another piece of wood, that means somebody hit it and hit it and hit it till it broke. And I said, that wood in the kitchen, I said, you heard me in here some time ago. I got the jack, just like we had the jack over there. You know the jack we had over there? And it looked real bad, the stuff. And we just jack it up, put some wood. That's exactly what we did at my house. Because see, I'm downstairs. So anything happen, I'm looking at all of that downstairs. Ain't no problem. Can't nothing happen without me seeing it right away, because I'm downstairs. Okay, they upstairs, they're not going. So, and in the bathroom, it's busted. Not only I know it, but it was a couple of years ago, someone was up there in the bathroom with a big bang, bang. I said, stop busting up the stuff. And then they don't know how to do it correctly, because if you walk out of there and it's at a certain level and you come back and it's went all to pot, that's too soon. Yeah, that's too soon, because you can judge the degradation of time it takes. It's not 1 day or 2 days. So if you come in 2 days later and it's all messed up, anyway, this is very important. Now, how can you be contented if everybody that you know at that time is acting funny? Nieces, nephews, children, boys and girls. Well, they didn't convince them because they say it all the time, or at least Fatima do. If you was doing that much, they would kill you. Why they killed Martin Luther King, why they killed so-and-so, and why they wouldn't kill you? I said, because they ain't got enough sense. Plus, we figured that out. I said, your daddy, 40-something years ago, figured out how we going to get from A to B to point number 12. You know what I mean? I said, and I tried to tell them, they didn't give Malcolm the time. They didn't give him the time. They didn't give Martin Luther King the time. They didn't give Medgar Evers. None of the brothers had time to adjust. That's why longevity is so important. When I studied revolution overseas, all of those in China and other places, even in Cuba, they had to fight out in the country and build up army, right? They had time to make mistakes. Oh, that battle didn't work too good. You might lose almost everybody. But in revolutionary ideas, if you don't lose, if you got 10%, I believe if you got 1%, you're still rolling. But they say if you lose even 90% of your cadres and whatever, you're still rolling. I believe long as one nigga alive, that's just a belief, you can make it. Could you turn a little bit of cool air on just a second? Okay, now here's the thing. Anybody would feel just sad that their children are stooges for the police. Well, I don't feel that way. I feel happy. You know why I feel happy? Because number one, they're alive. Number two, I know when my Volvo out there, that brown one that was real nice, when it had a little chip in the glass, oh, it's a window. Well, it just happens that day it was snowing. It snowed. So whoever chipped the thing, that was the footprint. I just went down to my house, got Fatima's shoe, because they take them off and put them in the front, and put it right on top of that, and it fit perfectly. It didn't even know it was perfect. So I've been knowing that. I've been knowing all this stuff happens all the time. I remember one time Sister Bahia run down here. Okay, first, when they called the police, Brother Tufel was in the house, you know, with me, and then the police came walking in there with their shoes. That was to get me mad, so I would attack them, so they could, it's no problem. That same time, you know, I'm doing what I usually do. So Sister Bahia cuts loose, you know, pop me in the eye, so no problem. No problema. Now, the next time, she come running down here talking out the side of her mouth. Then downstairs, Brother Ali was here and Tufel was here. And she turned around and moved at me. I stepped to the side, bop, bop. Because we're not into that right now. Yeah, it ain't don't hit no woman. You just busted me in the eye 6 months or a year before. And now you're going to come down here in front of the brothers and show that you bad. Shoot, I'm sorry. But it's measured blows, you know, like, you know how pop, pop. That's what Tufel said. He said you was using very measured blows. I said, yes, of course. I didn't hurt nobody. They just keep them off, you know what I mean? And just stuff like that. That stuff goes on all the time. Here's the key. Number one, if your sons are rotting in jail and doing all that other stuff, if I go to a prison, Folsom, one of them old-time prisons, you know, and I'm going through the visiting room, yeah, your son so-and-so, I say, yes, he's a good guy, all that. Yeah, he's a good guy because they done asked him all the questions and they done, you know what I mean? And, right? Because he done got old and they, after all that pressure, after 30-something years of that pressure, after 10 or 15 years, they crack. Why? Because they're human beings. And plus, you mix the drug use destroys your, not credibility, but your ethics and morality. First thing, a dope fiend, the first house they break into usually is their mother's house. Can you imagine? When that happened to one of my friends that became a drug addict in '66, I used to go with him by his mother's house. We was all right there in the neighborhood. And he broke into his mother's house. Now, you can imagine at that time, I didn't understand it at all. How could somebody break into their mama's house? Right? Well, when you need your dope, the house you know best is your mama's house, where you was raised. So I know I need a fix. I can go in there and get this and that. I'll speed up a little bit. But look, we're in a big move right now. So what I want everybody to understand is exactly how things are going. Number one, I would much rather for my daughters to be working directly for the police. That Sister Bahia is their supervisor. Why? Because they're girls, and the police, if they're going to go to college, the police could surround them with all kind of youth. They can do anything they want. And they're not smart enough. They think they're smart. Like the kids told me the other day, Dad, you're not that smart. Why? I said, well, you don't watch all the internet stuff. They said, we know what you know and all this other new stuff. I didn't even tell them they was crazy. I didn't ask them. I did mention, I said, knowledge is not valuable unless you use it. I said, how good are you at using? Your generation knows everything? Well, why the hell they getting all this dumb stuff? They were saying, Dad, don't do that Me Too stuff. I said, don't you worry about it. You know the Me Too thing. I said, that's crazy. I said, no, it's not crazy. It's fun. Don't worry about it. I talk to them like that all the time. They're always wrong. Why? Because their advisor, their mama, don't have no sense. And Abdul Malik was married to their mama, right? And Abdul Malik brought her out here, or out there, for me, to marry me. Why? She was married to a guy that was all African Revolutionary People's Party, Stokely Carmichael's crew, Kwame Tore's crew. She was watching them because all of them became polices. They used to call them niggas on the hill. Everybody in their family is either a social worker or a police. They're the same. It's okay. Anyway, so Abdul Malik told her, the best job, the future, this nigga here. You get on, you come on out here, and she used to say, well, those are my books. She said, don't worry about books. You're going to marry the man with all the books. Don't worry about it. And that's what he told her all the time. That's what he told her all the time. I had a little temporary, it seemed like a marriage to another lady out there, and she went crazy. And I told her, I said, this is, it was at the masjid. I said, this is frowned upon in Islam, but I divorce you, goodbye. I said it 3 times and I ain't seen her again. I saw her one time. It's a long story. But remember, and when I got married to Sister Bahia, I did stuff to find out how are they tied in. So I would tell them specific things, and then I would have Iranians down at the daftar say to me, well, don't do certain things, like don't talk to your wife about it. Why? Because they're all hooked up. Abdul Malik, the Iranians that are here now. No, it's all hooked up. That's why the longevity. I done did this stuff over and over and over and over and over again for decades. You could see when it started. It started technically the day we opened the masjid. But by 1986, we way up into this. So remember, the random sowing method. That means you're surrounded in Oakland in those days, and there's technically nothing I could do. That's what they would think, right? Well, here's what we got. I still got a name, I still got this, that, another, and I got the method. Success package for young bloods. I didn't even have nobody with me to type it out, so I just wrote it hand by hand. But all these, I want you to study the record of Oakland. Self-image psychology, 1 and 2. Organization. I gave these out to all the young niggas in Oakland. So they would do what? Organize. What is an organization? What is the purpose? Remember, they got me surrounded. I can't teach them how to sell no dope or nothing, but I could, maybe that's what they're going to do, I don't know, but they're going to get organized. They're not going to fight each other as often. There's a reason for organization. All these tapes, proper use of time, organization, comfort zones, project awareness, why you do goal setting, how to set proper goals. I gave these packages out to all the young Negroes in East Oakland and other places I would go. This is a random sowing method. Like Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, I said, random sowing. I'll sow seeds everywhere that have some effect. Okay? The longer they last against the system, the better they become organized, the better chance they have. So I'm passing all of my knowledge at that time. This is 85, 84, and all those. One of them is 81 when I'm getting out of the penitentiary, because I was the imam there and everybody. Anyway, this is not a new thing. So for the youth, for my sons, they put them in jail so much, all their friends was dead. Like if you had friends around here, DC, during the 80s and the 90s, the young Negroes was dropping like flies. But my sons were in jail. They get out, they go back to jail. I gave a khutbah some 9 or 10 years later, and I told them, I said, they meant to do that to hurt you. But I said, do you remember when I would come see y'all? Yeah, I'd show you my photo album of dead people, all their kids. I say, even a little kid turning flips over that Angel Island, you know, when they go on them trips at the end of the year. I said, a little guy with the big natural in the 6th grade that was turning flips over at Angel Island. He's dead, isn't he? Yeah. Everybody. I said, what do the numbers look like? Can you imagine? I said, would you be lucky enough that if you out here being around and all of that? Look, my oldest son, I'm going to tell you, it's just ridiculous. He's up on they all sitting around at their spot on, I guess it's 96. And they all on the porch. So one of his friends came by, said, man, Sheriff, let me holler at you, man. Da, 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 da. He came down off the porch. That's one group of friends. And that group of friends blasted the other. They blasted everybody on the porch. He said, yeah. I said, that don't give you no message. You don't get nothing out of that. He didn't get nothing. I said, hey, boy, I'm telling you, I ain't going to call you, I'm not going to call you slow. I ain't going to do that. No, 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 no. Remember when my son was out here? Somebody that they ain't doing whatever they doing, somebody didn't mess with them. All we did, I said, come on out here, I'll show you how to take care of that. So I asked him a few questions. I said, who is this nigga? I said, such and such. I said, what does he do? He said, this nigga mess with everybody. I said, good. I said, you just get at the back of the line. Because in the 1990s, that's when he was out here. I said, they gonna kill that nigga. And you get at the back of the line. Don't get at the front. Just have patience. We sit out here, man, look, I don't know if you remember how big he got. That boy swole up. He looked like Arnold. He swole up. In fact, this is when he caught me. You know, I was 55 about then. And we put that iron on there and put on them 7 quarters. First up at 6 quarters, 300. Then 350 plus the bar. Rack. He said, yeah, Dad, put them other quarters on. I said, good. And then whack. I said, okay. So that technically, that's when he caught me. I said, well, you know, time catches up with everybody. You know, but you change different, you know, because we'd be out doing something on the bag and the kids would be doing something. And I'd say, well, you have to have patience with it. He said, patience with it? You ain't had no patience on us. So you was the XER trial experimental crew. You're the first one. You're experimental. You know what I mean? Don't nobody know nothing. Right? Tell the truth. When you get the first crew, I said, you're an experimental model. I said, now we dealing with, I'm 100 years old now. You get sense. You realize that whatever you tell them, they going to do what they want to do anyway. So you might as well cooperate because you can't make nobody do it. I said, man. So anyway, so they downed the guy. He brought one of his friends out here with Fish. I don't know if you remember. They was standing. He was at my shit over there. And so somebody downed the guy. I said, okay, you can go on back now. But the point is that it seems like, why wouldn't you be sad? I said, no, there's nothing to be sad about. Number one is the mission. Number two is Allah protecting them. They're protected. So far, because I made dua that they get grown enough to know what's going on, and they did. I said, I extended that. That's all I asked for, and that's what I got. So I'm not going to sit here moaning. Y'all are 50, is one to be 55, the other be 51 or 2. I said, hey man, y'all got it covered now. So Allah done kept you alive, and Allah put you in prison all of those times, so you would live. You lived. Tell me one of your friends. I ain't got no friend. I said, yeah, you got new friends, but you ain't got none of them old ones. All the kids used to run in and out of our house and all that around the neighborhood. They don't exist, right? Right. Okay. So we're going into some deep stuff here. Remember that we said to the system that you got to sign, what did we call it, a JCPO or something other. Yeah. Look, it's not arrogance, but the system has fallen apart, technically. The system is not functioning properly. So we have to show the people how the system behaves. How you going to make the system behave like you want it to? The system done did stuff. They want me to go back to Oakland and get this stuff out of the way. And I said, no, I'll go back. You going to do the way I want to do. I'm not doing it the way you want to do. And if you don't like it, that's too bad. That means we've been on this scene so long that it don't make you arrogant, like Sister Bahia was saying. So you're not arrogant? I said, no, I'm not arrogant. I said, but I'm certain about what we're doing. There's a difference between arrogance and confidence. I said, arrogance means you do what you want regardless of what's the thing. I said, let's hear about the mistakes we're making with this stuff. Arrogance is when you say, Imam Musa, this is what we're going to do, and bump the analysis, right? Forget about all the analysis. What's what? I said, no. I said, I'm getting better at what I'm doing, not worse. And then all of this history is what they were doing then, and they still doing the same thing now. They have not improved. But we have. They can come up modern times. Now, let me mention another thing. Y'all would remember it very well. Remember when I got come out of the hospital, I was all like this and everything. So the Iranian guy that was having programs with in Dallas all the time, he called, and because I had called him once, I told him, well, it's not writing very well. Before I went to the hospital. So I said, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. That would mean I'd be all right. That's the way I was talking. Remember, I couldn't talk at all. All I could say was optimism. I didn't know how to pray. It was something. I'm telling you. When that guy called the next time, what do you remember happening within 2 or 3 days? Everything's whoop. And I told him, I said, 1 month, no, 3 months. Because I was just being positive. So the way I am, it's going to take a minimum of 3 months. 6 months, 1 year, 1 year. Nigga going to be like this for a year. You remember that? That's the way I was. Called him, or he called me, and he asked specific questions. How's your handwriting now? Nigga can't write. I mean, it was still like this. 2 days later, I was writing. Remember that? 3 days later, I was giving khutbah. I didn't even remember no prayer, no nothing. Finish. Bismillah, not from the brother. No, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. I didn't know none of that. None, I didn't know. I just didn't know. There ain't nothing I could do about it. Sister Bahia and them was down there trying to give me a book about, read this stuff all the time. Rat, cat, dog, ball. And I had my own stuff that I have like this, and I just read that stuff all the time. I didn't remember nothing, but I read it over and over again. I could read half a page and forget it. I'd go back, you know. The point I'm making is this. We going into a big step right now. They try to steal stuff from you so you will feel like they know more than you about yourself. And they'll tell you that too. We know more about you than you know about yourself. And a lot of times, if a guy ain't thinking, they got a record on everything. Okay? So now you don't know nothing, sucker. You don't know nothing. And if you think you know something, I'm going to put it out in the public, everything. No secrets. That's where we are right now. You're the one that have the inability to cooperate with us. I done offered them a chance. Yeah. And it sounds kind of strange. They can offer somebody a chance. The system. The whole system. You're offering them, hey man, how about the JPOC first? You know, whatever that thing is. We are making it according, because they know we know they lie, but we want it on paper. That's what we want. Okay. The system's psychological inability to surrender to Negroes. But there's subconscious or unconscious compliance with everything we say. Think about it. We go down there, there's a demonstration. Right? Think of every demonstration we went through. It revolves around us. Every one of them. And the last two are super clear. The last two, they draw the police line back to here, where they're 1 foot away from us. Right? And the guy's coming over trying to talk to me to get the microphone to quiet down, and I'm telling them, this is Hollywood here. All of this. And it's making them uncomfortable because when they do it, it looks like Hollywood. Look at that line. And then our homeboy, the white boy with the long hair, pull off his shirt. I'm still here. Oh, man, you think somebody going for that mess? Hollywood. Okay, that means that we have to tell people that what you're seeing now, all of this, is Hollywood manufactured stage play, all of that mixed into one. And if you don't learn from this one, all the agenda, no police, this, da-da-da-da-da. That stuff, it was funny watching 1968 on TV last night. Everything, the Kerner report, all of that. Why do riots start? Why this, that, and other? Is poverty? Is everything that's happening is sad.
Not only is it happening, they're using the same 1968 discussion points.
Everything. The white folks and the police and all mixed between. Well, we're going to have to study. I said, you're going to have to study on niggas? And we've been here 400-something years, and you got to research? Like what? Okay, all of this that we talk about, that's for us to tell them. They think that they start using drugs. But here's myself, drug and their effects on the individual, on the family, on the community. Drugs as a means of exploitation and control of the black community. Who's the real victim? Right? On and on and on. Each lecture, this is from 86, 80, way back then. Right? That's why they was on us then. Because this is what we were doing. We was using every bit of knowledge we'd acquired in Africa, in the Middle East, in Oakland itself. And remember, they talk about 1968 on the 1968 is when we started the only successful black program in the United States. Martin Luther King didn't have one. They had the poor people's thing down there. We didn't have no poor people's thing in Oakland. We had the rich people's stuff in Oakland. Oakland was wealthy. Just do statistics. Or call some of the people between 70 and 80 years old. They'll tell you, man, Oakland was booming. Oakland was booming. Why? Because we used the principles, normal principles of black nationalism. Control everything, like Malcolm said, it comes and goes in your community. Manage your money correctly. We not only managed our money correctly, we still had a party at the same time. And wasn't nobody over, shoot, I was 25 when I left the country, at 25 when I left. All the other time, I was 22, 23, 20, you know what I mean? And it was all natural. It was just natural. Okay, imagine when we get all that experience that we done done. That's why the police is that they know all of that. They was sitting there and they said, that nigga fooled us, and da 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 da, and we was running around after, well, putting us in jail too. You saw the paper I got on jail. I was in jail more than anybody. But we had a mission to do. Okay, now we can educate the people on what we're trying to do. That's why this hadith is very. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, wealth is not in vast riches, but wealth is in self-contentment. Self-contentment. It's reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, verily Allah says, O son of Adam, find leisure in my service. Have a good time. And that's when a coach done trained you to the top of your ability and there's nothing else he can show you, what did he tell you? Go out and have a good time. Just have fun. Just do like y'all did when you was kids. You'll stretch farther. If it's fun, you'll stretch farther, right? You'll run harder because it's fun. I don't have to do this because I'm going to get sold to another team or they ain't going to like me if I don't catch the ball. No, I'm having fun, so you're going to be really trying to catch that ball because it's fun. So the extra inch or 2 inches it takes to catch it, you're going to do it because it's fun. Make Islam your leisure. Make this work fun. If you do, I shall fill your heart with contentment, and I shall shut up the door to poverty. If you don't do it, I shall keep your hands engaged in work, and I shall not close up your door to poverty. So definitely what that means is what we talked about all the time yesterday. You will be working. It don't say you ain't going to have no more money, but you're just going to be working, and you ain't going to never get enough money. Why? Because you never will be satisfied. Very few people get enough money, it's way up in the high 90s, to be satisfied. They're not going to be satisfied. That's what it means. We're going to close up. You're going to still be working, but we're closing up. We're not giving you contentment. You're going to be contented. You're going to be sufficient, self-sufficient. You're going to be satisfied. You're going to be full. You ain't going to have no desire for more, because you're going to be contented with what you have. That don't mean that Allah not going to give you more, though. Because Allah said, if you're grateful, I'm going to give you more. So if you're grateful, you're just going to still be getting, right? And if you're not grateful, and if you're not making Allah's work leisure, this is leisure. Who in the hell is going to come and they're shooting your children and they're doing all that? You say, this is my leisure. That's what they're doing. Everybody can see that. And it didn't start last week. They've been doing it. They've been doing it for 50 years, but for the last 40 with the Islamic title, the last 45. That's what they've been doing. They know what they've been doing. And we've been right with them. So now we're telling them, remember, this is the thing about, you see all those books in there. Well, look like somebody went there and tried to tear the office up, but it's okay. They can tear it up. Who cares? But anyway, it's just the office after all, right? But it does look like it's got a little tearing up there. Contentment. Satisfaction of reaching capacity. Contentment is an emotional state of satisfaction that can be seen as a mental state, may be drawn from being at one's ease in one's situation and body and mind. Speaking of contentment, could be a state of having accepted one's situation and a milder form of happiness. That's why I pushed the button, on the phone for something on contentment. And I listened to the talk I gave yesterday was some of the hadith and the Quranic, nafsamar and nafsawamala, but it had a pinch of biblical stuff. And I listened to on contentment, the preachers be talking, and they was talking about, let me see. This is about Paul. Now, we're not no friend of Paul's. Barnabas is different. Barnabas is different, but Barnabas and Paul broke up. I'm not going to get into suspecting Paul of sabotaging the Jesus movement, which was a Jewish movement, by changing it all up. You know what I mean? They got books on Jesus. No, James, the brother of Jesus, they've been broke. They got stuff in the New Testament. They breaking legs and all that. They was talking about the Lord Jesus Christ. Them boys was gangsters. It's terrible. And Saul, or Paul, was a prosecuting attorney. I'm not saying that he said the way to get rid of this Christianity, or whatever they call it, and Judaism in a new form, is we'll take it to the Romans and we'll change it all up. So he in the penitentiary, he see people eating pigs. If you're a Jew, you can't eat no pig. And the uncircumcised, everything, this is not Judaism, right? But Jesus was a Jew. Anyway, so here's what old Paul said. I'm not pro-Paul, but there's a thing that he says here, and I'm going to read a little bit of it. I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at last you have revived your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned for me, but had no opportunity to show it. Not that I am referring to being in need, for I have learned to be content with whatever I have. I know what it is to have little, and I know what it is to have plenty. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of being well fed and of going hungry and having plenty and being in need. I can do all these things through him who, okay, now here's what, Paul is slick. I'll read a little bit more, then I'll go back over it. You Philippians indeed know that in the early days of the gospel, when I left Macedonia, no church shared with me in the matter of giving and receiving, except you alone. In other words, he done been all over the place. Macedonia opening up churches. But ain't nobody, he said, but y'all kind of cut me loose in giving and receiving. In other words, you dummies know I need money to do all this work. And, but he talked to the other ones. He said, I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at last you have revived your concern for me. He's talking trash. You have revived. I'm glad y'all remembered me. You done revived your concern for me. Because see, remember, he's in the penitentiary here, or he's under house arrest. And so whatever it is, he needs money, but he's telling them, hey, if you help me, it's fine. If you don't, I don't care, because I'm content. That's what he's saying. I done been well fed, and I done been hungry. And in all situations, in all circumstances, I'm fine. I'm good. I don't care I don't care how it go. I'm content. That's basically what he's saying. But he's telling this church, indeed, you are concerned for me, but had no opportunity to show it. He said, I know y'all was concerned, but you just didn't have a chance to express yourself. It's just like all the people here, right? We talking to. Now with all of this, everybody know that we need physical help. Anybody, they got to be crazy not to know, right? That we need physical H-E-L-P help. And it's so strange that if you send any help, do not send it in Masjid al-Islam, because they closed off the accounts with Masjid al-Islam. Oh, we'll get them back. Don't worry about it. So you leave your check blank or put Clarence Reams on it. I got lucky and got an account in that name. I used to never have an account in my name. I got a stack of checks right now. I can't cash them. And I ain't going to try to cash them. I went to the bank once, so fine, forget it. When I'm in the jury, I'll say these checks, they probably too old to cash now, but these boys here gave my money away. Now imagine, if I'm in the house, the only person on those old accounts was Sakina. And the one count where they took $100,000 and they know it, they have never said, that's terrible. What's going on? The people that I done told, if something go wrong, you just do whatever you want to with that. And you and Fatima can make a move. You know, everybody take care of everything else. Everything's all paid up. Don't worry, but y'all cruise, whatever you want to do. They ain't said those are bad people that took my money, our money. They don't say that. They don't say nothing about it. And as far as money is concerned, when they was taking money out of the bank, I believe, look out for this, look out for that. Where's that at? I don't know. So that's several $1,000s. You don't know? No? Okay, you don't know. Fine. What about yours? Oh, here it is. I said, yeah, but that's, I don't know how much of it is missing. Right? That's your dear daughters. The police is telling them to do that. Bahia is telling them to do that. That stuff is just happening. That stuff is happening. That stuff is happening right now. Right? Now, how am I going to be contented with that? I am. It's unbelievable. I don't understand it, but all I know is this is what the hadith say. If you make, I do understand it, because other people don't understand it. You know, like it was years before getting married. So I didn't want to get married. Why? Because I was thinking of, this is what I was thinking about, right? Focus on the work. That was leisure, that was play, it was everything. That's what it was. That's what it is now. That's why we say to boss man, you got to get yourself together. And contentment is a skill that's learned, but it's a gift from Allah. So, just like Paul, if they help, I already know the rules about wealth, poverty, And I'm glad to hear from y'all, you know. Not that in giving and receiving, you Philippians indeed know that in the early days of the gospel, when I left Macedonia, no church shared with me in the matter of giving and receiving, except you alone. There's only one church that helped him, and those helped him after he's told them before, I'm glad y'all revived your remembrance. You remembered the brother. It was a long time. He wouldn't want to talk to him any worse than that. But he says, you have revived your concern for me. My goodness, he's in the penitentiary. And he done opened all the churches, Thessalonians, Corinthians, all those new names in the Bible, in the Bible, right, in the New Testament. Colossus, whoever they are, all those names. So he's talking about contentment. Nobody would understand contentment if, when I got them bangs up in the head, the people in the hospital, two old African-American ladies, I ain't never saw nobody come in here so happy. And I said, yeah, well, alhamdulillah. That's what I was actually happy, and I acted like I was happy. Right? Because see, if you understand this work, remember these guys here? These are all, when Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui dies, right? What happened to all these guys? They went crazy. What did Dr. Siddiqui say, right? Imam Musa is the essence of everything that is good. I didn't hear that at first because when I finished speaking, I must have went out, went to the restroom or something, made wudu, and come back. By that time, he was into his lecture. That's what he said, right? Okay. So why all the homeboys didn't say, well, shoot, Dr. Siddiqui, that's our leader, he got the game on, you know. Well, why not? Do they help? Heck no. Shoot. The people over there, this is an international scheme. When I go over there, Sakina was 1, so whatever that was, she learned how to walk in South Africa. Instead of us living in a certain way, they got us living with a sister. A healthy, half white, half Indian sister. Just relatively healthy. I mean, you know, pleasant to look at and all of that. And if I get up in the morning and drink some coffee or something, or they'd have tea over there, you like her? I said, I like her? How the hell I like her? Well, that's what they say. That crew got a habit when they want to trap you with somebody. They see so much good in them that you probably start seeing it too. But let me go over that again. They are pushing you in that direction. And I ain't going. And all the time, I would ride around with the lady here and that. We'd be by ourselves half the time, sometime. And we just ride and cruise. Don't make me no difference. So when I got back over here, the lady is calling and calling. And one time she calls and it's a nice seductive voice and stuff. And, oh, I heard y'all are having so much trouble there in Auckland. I said, no, I'm from Oakland. Auckland is in New Zealand. They was having, think back when all of them fire, whatever they was doing, it was in Auckland, New Zealand. And they, you know how they sound over in South Africa. She didn't know whether. So she done called 500,000 times, just like Zakia called every day. I talked to Zakia every day when she was married to, what's her name? Every day almost. So they've been trying to saddle me up with somebody all the time. And they be having tenders too, like sometime. I mean, tenders, like one guy hassling me, not hassling, but one of the big speakers used to work for the UN. We was in South Africa, we'd be in LA, wherever. He'd bring his daughter, a tender. He's Algerian, one of them real light-looking Algerians. So his daughter had little light freckles, but tender. She was tender. My daughter just loves your talks, Imam Musa, over and over again. So I'm supposed to say, well, is she thinking about getting married or something like that? That's the first thing. I mean, every talk, when we're in South Africa, when we're here, because we spoke together on programs all over the world. My daughter loves your. See, these people marry each other. They don't have nothing to do with I like them, and they got a job. I want to get my. I mean, this go on. I go to the Pakistani show, and I'm talking about struggle and strategic management, and I'm telling them I am not a main speaker. I am mainly in management and organization and da-da-da-da-da. And this is strategic management under conditions of repression. I'm telling them this years ago in Dallas. Da-da-da-da. So here's a Pakistani lady. First of all, it's one of them funny Negroes there at the program that don't belong there. And no, so he's saying, so here comes the lady. Oh, I'm in Denver. I'm not married anymore. My son that was 19 has gone, and on and on and on. And I'm free. Oh, and you're working on environmental stuff. I have such and such in environmental. So I said something funny about her when he left. He said, man, that woman was hitting on you. You know, which is true. That's what she was doing, hitting. This goes on all over the world. So finally the woman from South Africa, I said, well, what do you think about multiple marriages? What does Sister Bahia say about that? I said, I haven't even talked to no Sister Bahia. You've been calling all the time, so I was just asking you, basically, what do you think about the subject? You know, when I got back to South Africa, all of them Indians and all of them, they'd mention, yeah, why he did this, why he. I said, these dirty so-and-sos. Boy, they've been trying to set the brother up with anybody, anytime, all the time. No, that's what they do. Okay, think I'm lying? Would you turn the heat cool off? Just, I'm going to take a little while long because I want to get this stuff out, if it's all right. Here's, so I mean, I be doing little stuff when I want to know stuff, so I'm just talking, oh, Miss So-and-so, nice lady. And then 2 days later, she called, right? Right? Zakia. What did she say? Sorry I didn't stay, just something like that, but I'm ready to pack up and go to California. Right? And you said I skipped down the stairs. I did, because I was glad that my plan worked. I wasn't not about getting with her, but getting the stuff clear. Because I got to get clear. Like, we have to clear. Just like with the government, we have to clear this time with who we're working with. I don't mind working with that lady, but, okay, if I'm talking with you on the phone yesterday or the day before, and you start talking about sensitive stuff, and the phone go off, click, and it don't come back for an hour or so. I try to call back once to see if there's no answer. So I said, okay, that's it. Now, when you call the lawyers to help Imam Musa, when you call this, everything goes click. Right? So hold it. So that's where the stuff, you know what I mean? And I'm not talking about 1 week experience. I'm talking about, and remember, I can't mention none of this stuff. The curly-headed crew, I could talk for 100 years. Medicine. It's a sin to use medicine, that's basically what it is. Dr. Scott Whitaker, that's Wali. That's Zacchaeus' first husband. Right? They have a son. He tells her when they get a divorce, Imam Musa would be a nice person to marry because he would make a good father figure for, which is basically true for their son. Okay. This stuff is so, well, clarification. That's what we're going to do. We're going to clarify. Just like all these people, this white man right here, that's old, what's his name? Meeks. I don't mean to jump, but when we on this program in California, Brother Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, he did a program for them, for this legal thing. You know how they treated me when I called them back? Just like CARE does. This guy is relating to me what the white folks say, the Jews say, and the Zionists say in their newspaper, right? Is that true? Hell no, it ain't true. And guess what? You ought to see the names of legal staff they got. The Muslims are so stupid. Out of all the 8 groups that went to court, Holy Land Foundation and all of them, none of them revived. None of them, whether guilty or not, they didn't revive. We're the only one functioning. Because we got enough sense to stay. You ought to see, it's like the ex-attorney general is on their staff, you know what I mean? And the Muslims are sold on white folks. And the people are telling them, this Meeks is telling them, and you got to get involved in civil rights because the courts, and I'm looking at him like this man is out of touch with reality. I said, civil rights and the courts, they done gave Negroes everything on the civil rights platter, and he ain't free yet. And they selling that line to the Muslims because the Muslims are slow. And their salaries, I don't know how much they make. It's a hustle. They hustling the Muslims. I'm telling you, we come in and want to raise $15,000, they roll in, and the people are donating $25,000. Can we get 4 people with $25,000? Can we get 4 people? Come on now. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 people, $25,000, $100,000. Now we need 5 people for $20,000. And they go on like that, and the money keeps stacking up. Stacking up. I mean, they worse than CARE and all of them. They just stack up money. Then I call them. I said, well, because see, I introduced Brother Mahmoud. There was nobody there. And Mahmoud was there to speak at the school program on the 9th. Since I was there, they're going to set everything up. So Mahmoud, they asked him to come on the 8th, and they knew where he was. He said, man, I just got back from Ethiopia, and you know. I said, man, jet lag and all that. When I called him next morning, he couldn't answer the phone because of the jet lag. He called me back, you know, when he saw who called. But he was there so to familiarize, for him to come, and then for me to get familiar with this whole group of people at all these big shows. This is the biggest show in town. And so I introduced the program, and they had Arabs and Pakistanis there saying, Big Hank is in the house. I said, yeah. So they all, this is a police setup. So they want to help me raise funds. So in order for me to, because I'm standing out, like we do, I'm standing out every week after Juma, right out raising money, just getting money. So they want to make it official. If them people see me on stage, okay, I helped them start those big shows 25, 30, 35 years ago. All the programs was at our masjid there because there was only a few of us in those days. Where are those people at? They're not there. All these people, they don't know me. So they want me to be known there so I can not stand outside anymore, right? So they want me to have a fundraiser because all the people there, after I announce it, yeah, Imam Musa, Somali people, you could, da-da-da-da-da, and these people are generous. In other words, it's all a big setup to help. The government wants to help me right now and been like that for several years. They try to get rid of you, it says this ain't working. The nigga done pulled a fast one, and he done lasted. You know what I mean? The nigga done lasted. You got to remember how many people, go back to the 80s, how many people going to do that for all of that time? They're not going to do it. It's just not. I haven't seen anybody do it. So that was the trick, but that's the gift. Remember, the guy said here that I have learned the method of contentment. I have acquired the ability to learn how to be content. Right? Now, with these people, that's why we're saying no. You do everybody else the way you want to do them, you're going to sign a treaty with us, JPO, whatever it is. See. You're going to sign it because you're a dirty double crosser. So we at least want 2-3 weeks to work. Now, when we go back to get our money, we're going to get, I believe, millions of dollars from, because it's all loose. They done messed up. Okay? But we have to, this go around, to be more demanding on the system. Not harsh, but we have to help them be the best of themselves because they're not prepared for a new world. They're not ready for it. They're going to run the same old scheme. Go look at them. They'll be there. The same old scheme. After everybody quiet down for another week, they'll roll the dice a couple of times and go on home. Why? Because ain't nobody going to do nothing. Plus, 80% of those people out there was their people. They have to be. They were their people. And the other 20% might come because they like it or the environment, or let's say half of them are their people. But see, we don't need all of those people. The environment now is for us to demand, no, we're not taking no more half measures. You either new world or you keep the one you got. If you so bad, that's the way we say to the system. You so bad, joker, just keep on doing like you've been doing. We content. Yeah, you'll boil your behind over, right? You'll fry your butt wide open, right? You'll be a crackpot for the rest of your life. And then look at the people. Look at the people. Abdul Malik them. What are they? They done did all this collaborating with the system. And they don't have nothing. Yeah, they need a little house. But what is a little house? A house. We took this house right here and made it was actually pretty nice. Remember this old boy? Boy, that's the ugliest house you ever seen in your life. Good God Almighty. And the first sign that they tore down was this one, Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Mukhtar tore it down right away. So who's behind all this stuff? The Zionists. Okay, Wali and this book, Medicine, Wali gave me this book out there at the, what's the joint? Faisal. Yeah, Faisal. So I could tell when Bahi is happy with somebody, they want you to come out and introduce Dr. Scott Whitaker. I said, Scott Whitaker. I said, y'all talking about Wali? Yeah, he came all the way back from over teaching over in the Middle East somewhere. So I said, sure, I'll come on out. I came out and introduced him to this brother Wali. This brother was at our masjid out there in Oakland, So he comes up and he goes into our program plus. The Zionists did this. You should have saw them people out there at this. Good God Almighty. And they were walking over to me. You got to tell them to stop. I said, this is y'all's program. It don't have nothing to do with me. You asked me to come out here and introduce him. And the lady, the black lady used to be charged at a CCMO, something like that, from Baltimore. Yeah. She's the one that called me out there. Nice, studious type person, Of course, I mean, they do what they tell them. You don't think they're going to have no black woman head of no organization they're going to listen to them, I know. So anyway, but they do their job. So she called me, come on out, and then, Imam Musa, you got to bring him down. I said, hold. No. I can't, of course, I ain't been out there since. But they were setting me up. They knew Wali, guess I'll tell you who Wali is, a member of the curly-headed crew. Zakiya, Hashim Alauddin. Yeah, Hashim. And Zakiya. So is Hashim. It's Wali and Zakiya, all UC Berkeleyites. They were all out there together. They came to our masjid. Hashim became the big Shia leader, and he looked funny from day one. The first time I saw him, he had the red flag, Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein. I said, hey, man, something wrong with that guy. Yeah, something wrong with that guy. That's the first time I met him. I said, everybody that I know to do that, first we'll look and see their behavior. If your behavior, you love Imam Hussein that much, then you'll do some of the things that he would be pleased with, right? You ain't doing nothing but talking. Let me put it this way so I can wrap it up. I don't care whether it's headquarters in LA, that's the Shia Center. I don't care whether it was As-Sabiqun, right through the alleyway. It was the Sunnis at UCLA and the Shias. All of them were supposed to have bay'ah with Imam Musa. MSA West. They developed, when the government want to start something, I'm telling you, within a few months, MSA West was having people by the thousands coming to their programs. They had supplanted MSA, Muslim Student Association. The president came there to speak at their program at Berkeley, and he was mad at me. They was putting it like, I'm the one that's doing this. I'm a figurehead. That's Abdul Malik them, right? That's Umar Humawi them. That's all of them. That's that whole crew. The ones that was over at, remember when we was at the, that ISNA program? Was that ISNA? Over at downtown. When those guys from LA.
Oh, yeah, that was just.
Yeah, those guys from LA. All those were, that was a Shia crew. Okay, you see how friendly we were and all that? But they was all of them was together. The Daftar was behind that big, beautiful program. The Daftar. This stuff has international intrigue. It is serious. This whole thing. And it's got this way because of certain reasons. Number one, when I came out of the hospital, who they put in Marziya Hashimi. Marziya Hashimi took Shahada in 1982 in the masjid. Masjid al-Islam in Denver. I looked at her, I said, well, remember now we getting police all the time back then. So there's the police, nice police, friendly police. Her husband died all of a sudden. Everybody in Iran feel like, yeah, her husband found out who she was, and then the brothers killed him. That's the way everybody feel about it. And she came through here a few times. They came over here specifically to trace down some Negroes that was not us. You ought to see the brother that called here. Those are the same brothers, New Horizon. I told the feds, they said, we don't want you to. I said, hell, those is your homeboys. So if he called here friendly, Imam Musa, I know who's calling. I just told the FBI, what's the name? George something, George Armstrong. That was his name. His name was like Custer, George Armstrong. Custer, his name George Armstrong. Yeah. I told them, I said, no. Those are your people. And they are. Look. You would be shocked, the niggas they sent over there. You know where we talked specifically about Najaf and Karbala and what it means? They spent 2 weeks. Yeah, we brought some rappers over to try to explain to them about Najaf and Karbala. You know who they got? You saw did you see the outline of the show that, not the Hodge Conference, but the program I had on my phone about the stuff that the guy sent. Did he send it to you or did he send it to me? Right, okay. Did you see who's on the outside of it? The National Negro. No, it's not only the National. Right, the National. That's who look. No. I told them a long time ago, I said, I'm sorry that I've tried to explain Wilayat Faqih. I say, you could talking to the wall. Why, if they're dealing with black people, why do they go everywhere but here? Why they go everywhere but here? And I'm sorry, I don't see no other black people nowhere on this type of a level. Dr. Fluffy and all them people, hey man, they came over to hook up people. They would do better having the man with the scarf and all. Those type of people don't exist. Here's why. There's nobody in the United States telling the people that stuff is Hollywood. Right? It ain't nobody doing that, and that's what it is. It's Hollywood. We knew it from the get-go, but you notice how we do stuff. We didn't go start telling everybody that that's Hollywood. We waited. After 2 weeks, we said, let's test the water. When we go down there, y'all put it on the TV, right? That the guy that was at the police pulled. He zips across the street, breaks all the traffic laws, right? And cut. Well, what do you think about it, right? And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, so I said, well, okay, that's where they're coming from, or pretending to come from. We go down tomorrow and see what da-da-da-da. We go down there tomorrow, we start talking, and then we said America stole Mexico. And then did you see the Spanish guy? California was not in Mexico. I said, this man is... I didn't even answer because it's that even the people knew, you know, San Jose, San Francisco, those are not Anglo-Saxon names, you know what I mean, right? So look, the whole thing. But see, how can I put it? We're still on the verge of a new world. And so we're saying, no, this is it. Whether you accept it or not, we're not doing nothing. No more of that old stuff, not for us. Not for us. You can do whatever you want with everybody else. But if you're going to have anything to do with us, that's all of them. That's their TV, that's their radio, because remember, we good. We don't need that stuff. We don't need that stuff, and we've been doing without it all along. We know system, if it wants to get behind, it can build a masjid, put everybody out there and have a masjid with 1,000 people in there in 2 days. They can do that. Okay. This is the way the world is now. We don't want you messing with us anymore. We can. We're going to do our program anyway. We're going to be successful. Why? We always used to, remember I was telling you when I was dealing dope down in South America, that I always dealt something on the side? That's stuff right there in front of your face. It's on the side. What can we do on the side? You think we can't do nothing? If they dumb enough to think, they're not dumb enough to think that. They know one thing, and they know it's real, but it's hard for them to accept it. It's hard for them to accept what we're saying, and some of them are having involuntary compliance with what we're saying. They wouldn't do it unless, why would they follow us all down to not the White House, what was that place we went to? The Capitol. And every other thing we've been doing. There they come. Remember, do we have them on the hook or do they have us on the hook? It's a simple question. It's a simple question. Are they trying to put something together, or do we already have what we about together and we got them on the hook? They following behind us. We're not following behind them. But this is so critical, it's hard to get, look, it's hard for them to understand where the world is now. The world cannot stand another 20 or 30 years of them. But historically, people don't say, well, that's right, the world can't stand me no more. I'll turn it over to somebody else. That's their problem with us. They know we know what we're talking about. We've been doing it too long. They know it. That's why I don't know how many people it is on my case, maybe 1, maybe 10, but they have a whole system of people paying attention to me all the time. That's the way it is. They can't not do it. They know. And look, feeding us bad information, that ain't gonna work. They feed us bad information all the time, hoping we'll come to the wrong decision. That's what my kids was trying to say. Dad, you got wrong information. You're not making, I said, well, hey, something's going on, because we're making the right decision all the time. Sister Bahia said maybe a year or two ago, because you let people do what they want. Now, how are you going to find out where people are coming from if you don't fold your arm? Let them do what they're going to. You're a loser. I said, I'm a loser. What the hell is y'all? If I'm a loser, and I done built all that stuff in California and made everybody rich, Allah made them rich, but I mean, I was administering the wealth and made so much money that I just never been broke. And the only thing I ever heard you mention was that I had my own apartment, as though that's what I had my own apartment. Yeah, it's just a step above welfare. It's a step above welfare. But I mean, good God Almighty, if you want to brag, you know what I mean? You're a loser. I said, I'm a loser. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I guess that's too bad to be a loser. You know what I mean? With everything, it's okay. Y'all school, how much it cost? $500,000. I said, not that I had $500,000, and not that I was spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month extra, you know what I mean, for the salaries, for the kids, for this, So it was ridiculous. But remember, people will say what's in their heart if you let them. I think it's wonderful. Okay, we have to, we done fished it out, played it out, and let it, so we have to, how can we always do, I think, what we should, but now we have to elevate it so much more. And I think it seems like that it's time restraints. We never acted with time restraints or anything. But it seems like now the world should begin to move toward what we visualize as a group. Because the earth don't seem to be happy with its occupants. No, the earth is not. Okay, now, they got these big old dumb ideas. They don't realize when we talk about the earth has been here 4.5 billion years and it'll be here another 5, that means, what's 1 million years in earth to the earth? The earth is going to be here. Right? And if the earth have to shake all the people off of it or bury them and let things regenerate, it'll do it. That's exactly what it's doing now. The earth, right? If you look at the earth, it's drowning in one area and burning up. I mean, and this is, look, fire season. This is June, right? Good God Almighty. Fire season in California. We used to fight forest fires, so June, July, August. Goodness, September, October is fire season. Now the fire season is going up into almost to January. It's okay. Houston is so much water it wouldn't go nowhere. You remember them big boats that those same boats that was going up and down the streets, you can take them out, the big fishermen take them out, they had them poles on it. That's what and that was in the city of Houston. Hey, those people are dangerous, tell the truth. They dangerous and they slow, hey man, and they nafs just got them so, we got to figure out methods. Of course, we're doing what we're going to do anyway. But I have a little feeling that things are so close, we would like to have the dummy with us because he can slow things down enough. We just like to have, and he's a dummy. There's no way around it. You can say what you want. Those people are dummies. They are real dummies. They are slow. So we can try to neutralize them and just flatter them, do something. Because he ain't making no progress. He ain't, you know what I mean? He's going to recycle this. He's going to, if it's up to him, he's just going to run the people around the block and then business as usual. Let the big rich people get all the money. That's what the plan seems. It's like the plan is working fine. It's working fine right now. Okay, Allah has blessed us, and I'll close with this because I'll be talking for 100 years. Remember, this stuff I said today is not even 1% of what's been going on. It's not even 1% of what's been going on. But we want to be a help in the world that we're living in today. And that means that they have to, until they learn how to do good, we can teach them how to do good. They don't know how to do good. They really have no idea what you're talking about. They don't know what you're talking about, right? I mean, literally they can say, yeah, good means charity, rubbing people on the head. That's good. They know how to say it, but they don't know what it means. They never tried it before. You remember when y'all are feeding people? That's different than when you feed the people. It ain't like watching people getting fed. Because wait just a second now, you have to buy the food and you have to cook the food. Cook the food takes time. It takes money to get all of that stuff. Tell the truth. Once you do it, that's different than watching it happen, right? It's totally different. Okay, so you have to learn, and that once you do it, though, it's a different feeling. You know, I could have used that money myself. I got kids, I got this, right? You know, but it seems like it worked out all right. They don't appreciate it, they don't care, but maybe they do. Maybe they don't. It don't make no difference. You're not doing it. So they care, they say thank you. That's not what, you don't want them to cuss you out, you know what I mean, for helping them, but we don't necessarily need whatever it is that they bring in. We're happy to be of help. That at least once a week they can get a real balanced meal. They don't have to go down to the Cracker Jack box or something. Okay, so dear believers, I'm going to go on and stop now because we could be here forever. We could pray. And are there any questions or any comments? I actually overlooked some of the loose pieces that I left. I didn't totally explain things about Wali, Zakiya, and then but we'll do it the next time, inshallah. But with all of them, we just want everybody to do right. And this is not a time for playing. You know what I mean? So if people are right, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. That's what forgiveness and concealing, it's concealing your brother's faults. That's what the Quran had, you know, that's what that is. So we're prepared to do that, but we're not prepared to sit still and just let boss man wreak havoc all over the world. He just won't stop. So maybe if we holler a little bit louder, he might go along and want to help. And then never forget the human makeup. We always talk about 5, 10, 15%. But the FBI agents and all of them, we've been talking about it since anybody knew us. those people exist. There's people inside of them that we just got to get them to make a little more noise and take a chance. Take a chance, come on out, They're not making it any easier for them because they see what whistleblowers, boy, a whistleblower don't get no, it's mean, but that's why a system goes down, because they don't give nobody any outlet to rescue them. They don't give you no chance to rescue. They demand, like Don, this ship, this USS Titanic is going down. None of you niggas gonna get anywhere close to keeping it afloat, and any scheme you have to help save anybody on this ship, you're a goner. If I get my hands on you, you niggas is goners. White folks, Mexicans, nobody is gonna help save this USS Titanic. And it's serious, that's what he's saying. His behavior is that. You ain't getting no chance. And lies, shoot, hey man, I'm not even a professional liar. I'm a rotten, ridiculous liar. Right? That nigga get on TV, and I'm going to close. Huh? And everybody is saying the same, done. And Pence yesterday, he said, wow, we done almost licked, and the people look at each other, licked what? The stuff, and every state, every state, Florida, Texas, California, every state that they pushed to open up, and they still like, oh no, they still, no, we doing roll, we on a roll, we done did good. That's why I'll close with this. See, here's what the thing is. I believe that the things that we were worried about, I don't believe can happen, like Hitlerianism. He had an opportunity to really do some Hitlerian things that could have been really harmful to the country and to the people. I think he done blew that chance. So the worst thing is off the list. He can't do no Hitler stuff, right? But there's still plenty left that give you a couple of bad nights sleep. You know what I mean? We're not out of the woods. It's just that he done took a spotlight with him and he shines it on himself, and he just, look at me. I am a fool, a pure fool. You want to know what a fool is like? Look at me, right? You want to see what a liar looks like? Look at me. Here I am. Liar? You didn't tell the white woman that we feel on the white woman's pussy, and that, right? Didn't he say that? He actually said it. Then he said, I didn't say that. He said that they like it, right? These people, so we're out of the woods for even the dumb people ain't not going to let him go. And the generals, remember the generals? The generals all up spoke. They said, no, we ain't going for that. At least that's what they had said. Now I hope it's for real. But they was act like they was serious. So we out of the woods for the monstrified stuff. But remember, our job, we trying to help America heal without it being a trauma. I don't know if it's possible, but you know what I mean, a nightmare, a real trauma. So we do what we can. Anyway, boss man, you got to bring the treaty by here, the JPO, what is that treaty? JPO, yeah, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Yeah, that's what we want. We want one of those. We want the same kind you get. The same kind they gave to the Iranians. So if you gave them a couple of months, that's all we need, a few months to get on out in front, then we'll take the rest of it. That's all. But we want the same kind they got. Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. The exact, in fact, we can make the same one. You know. So thank y'all very much. Are there any questions, any comments? Well, I just tell the people this is still on. Don't worry, next 2 programs we have, I'll try to put all of this in perspective, because I know I left track a couple of times. But I did get a lot said, but we have to try to fit it together. So thank y'all very much. As-Salamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh.